Welcome to the CNY Wrestles Podcast. Here's your host, Mike Jones, We are coming off one of the biggest weekends in wrestling. The Royal Rumble took place this past Sunday, and the weekend kicked off, of course, with NXT TakeOver Phoenix. Big show, great show, featuring some of the great young talent and the great storylines that always come with NXT. Great opening match, tag team match. The War Raiders defeated the Undisputed Era for the NXT tag team titles. Big match with Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair. Shayna Baszler retained the women's title. And Johnny Gargano, biggest surprise of the night, he defeated Ricochet for the North American Championship. And Tommaso Ciampa kept the NXT title when he defeated Aleister Black. There was a big brawl that happened after the show, and they didn't show it until after on WWE.com and also the next night at the Royal Rumble between Ciampa, Gargano, and Adam Cole. I'm sorry, I drew a blank there. And Velveteen Dream, who threatened to leave NXT and WWE, was there. He was involved in the melee. And also he was joined by Ricochet and Aleister Black. So we know this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, during the halftime show on the WWE Network, there's going to be a big six-man tag team match. Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet teaming up to take on Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Adam Cole. So that'll be fun to watch during the Super Bowl when you're bored to death of the football game and, you want to turn into wrestling to see what's going on there. We know Saturday also there's going to be a Worlds Collide tournament. Members of the NXT roster, the NXT UK roster, and the 205 Live roster are going to compete in a single elimination tournament. And that should be pretty interesting. I mean, there's a lot of the young talent on those shows, so it'll be interesting to see how they pull that off. And then, of course, Sunday night was the Royal Rumble. It was a good show. Not a great show by any means. It was good to see Asuka take a victory over Becky Lynch. I think she really needed that. And it was also good to see Becky come back and win the Women's Royal Rumble. The Women's Royal Rumble was a lot better than the men's, in my opinion. The storyline was there. It doesn't look like they're going to go with Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda in the WrestleMania main event. Looks like they're just going to go with Becky and Ronda, which is fine by me. I like singles matches better than anything else. And then later in the night, Seth Rollins picked up the victory in the men's Royal Rumble match, which was kind of expected, kind of predictable. But let's talk about the men's Royal Rumble. Where were the surprises this year? Nobody saw Jeff Jarrett coming, but nobody really expected him to do anything in the Royal Rumble once they saw him. He did not look in good shape at all. And he came back the next night on Raw, had an altercation with Elias. Him and the Road Dogg. Not sure where they're going with this nostalgia act, but I don't think this is the fresh start that fans are looking for, that the McMahons have promised. But could be wrong. So I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more surprises. I mean, everybody, of course, had Kenny Omega on their mind for the Royal Rumble, but he's still under contract in New Japan, so we kind of knew he was not going to be there going into it. But I think some of us still wanted to see the surprise of Kenny Omega showing up in the Royal Rumble. Of course, now his contract is coming up, I think tomorrow. So we'll find out very soon if he's going to end up in WWE or if he'll sign with his friends in All Elite Wrestling. I personally think he's going to go with AEW. His friends are there. They'll promise him more creative control. He'll probably have a little bit more of a say in things than he would in WWE. So I would not be surprised to see Kenny Omega sign with All Elite Wrestling. I think that's only a matter of time. They've been hinting at it on their Being the Elite show on YouTube with the mysterious phone call at the end with the timer counting down to approximately when Kenny's contract would end with New Japan. Other news coming out of the Royal Rumble, Shane McMahon and The Miz winning the tag team titles, defeating The Bar. Honestly, I kind of thought that was coming. Not that I am a fan of it in any way. I think Shane and The Miz, the team just doesn't ring. It doesn't fit. Miz is a heel. All of a sudden, he wants to team with Shane, and he's a good guy. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Rusev lost the U.S. title to Shinsuke Nakamura. The next night on SmackDown, we saw R-Truth take the U.S. championship back from Shinsuke. Not sure what the heck they're doing there. It looks like Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor are going to feud over the Intercontinental Championship. Hopefully just a one-off match at the Elimination Chamber or Fastlane. I don't even know. Is it Elimination Chamber that's coming up or Fastlane, or are they doing both this year before WrestleMania? We'll find out. I know the Elimination Chamber, they're going to crown the first ever women's tag team champions. We know that Tamina and Nia Jax have qualified for one of the spots, and also we know that the Riot Squad has qualified as well for a second spot in that match. So we'll find out what's going to happen in the next coming weeks, who else is going to qualify. Looks like Sasha and Bayley are going to qualify next week. They're going to face Alicia Fox and somebody else. I'm sorry, I don't remember who. But it's pretty given that Sasha and Bayley are going to make it to that Elimination Chamber. Last Elimination Chamber, the first women's Elimination Chamber match. Remember, Sasha Banks turned on Bayley in that match. So it'd be interesting a year later, now that they're in another Elimination Chamber match for tag team titles, to see what's going to happen there, if they're going to foreshadow anything from last year in this year's match. We know WrestleMania is coming in April to New York, New Jersey. The card is shaping up. We know Becky and Ronda. We don't know if Charlotte's going to get involved in that yet. It seems like Seth Rollins is going to challenge Brock Lesnar. That leaves Daniel Bryan open for a championship defense. And on the SmackDown side of things, I would personally love to see Daniel Bryan versus Mustafa Ali for the championship at WrestleMania. And of course, that leaves AJ Styles open for a match. His contract situation, we don't know if he's going to re-sign with WWE. I think it would be a mistake for him to leave at this point. I think his career is probably toward the end stages of his career, and to start over somewhere at this point, I think he'd still be as popular, still be over. I just don't know that he wants to start over at this stage of the game for him. So I'd like to see him stay in WWE. I would personally love to see him wrestle at WrestleMania against Finn Balor. I think that'd be a great match. I know it's happened before, but now at WrestleMania, I think that adds a whole new dimension to the match. I don't think we know or even have a clue who Undertaker is going to face this year. I'm assuming they're going to Hall of Fame him this year. And this year should be his last WrestleMania match, his last match before he retires. He hasn't been looking good his last several matches. I don't know who I'd want to see. Maybe Braun, although I think the Undertaker might not be strong enough to take on a man like Braun Strowman. We'll see what happens on that front. We should be hearing some Hall of Fame announcements coming up soon as well. I would like to see The Undertaker go in this year. I would also like to see Chyna be inducted. I know that's probably not going to happen. Some other people that deserve it, Owen Hart. Of course, I know that is not going to happen because Martha Hart refuses to let the WWE induct him into the Hall of Fame. there's so many deserving people that have yet to be inducted, and this year it'll be great to see some of them catch up to being inducted. Monday Night Raw, the Revival, they won a match over Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Interesting feud. If they can build it right, both teams need some kind of storyline. If they can build it right, I think that could be a great, excellent feud. But it looks like they're not going to do that. The Revival picked up a pretty easy victory. They've been burying both Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, so it's hard to take them seriously at this point, especially in a major angle. Another thing coming out of Raw that that we read about online after the fact is that Dean Ambrose has asked for his release from the WWE after WrestleMania. He appears like he's not going to re-sign a contract. Whether or not this is true, of course, we don't know. He was hinting at something at the end of his match. So again, I feel like there's something storyline going on with these announcements online. We heard the Revival ask for their release, but they're still being featured on TV. They picked up a victory on Raw. We heard Dolph Ziggler ask for his release, and he was back in the Rumble. Of course, he didn't appear after on Raw, so we don't know what's going on there. We know Maria and Mike Kanellis asked for their releases. Maria was in the Women's Royal Rumble. We haven't seen Mike Kanellis recently, so there's a lot of rumors and speculation going on. We don't know what's true and what's not true. I don't see Dean Ambrose leaving the WWE at this point in the game for him either. I don't think he would leave his friends Roman and Seth behind. I mean, it would be amazing if all three of them left WWE and went to All Elite Wrestling, but I don't think that's going to happen. Personally, I think Roman's staying, Seth is staying. So I don't know. I mean, Dean was hinting at something, and I feel like there's a storyline brewing here. It's all manufactured by the WWE, all these rumors of people asking for their releases, and I think it's because they're trying to get ahead of the rumor and innuendo that's going to come out of a new promotion like All Elite Wrestling causing a stir in the wrestling world. And so, I mean, I think it would be a pretty smart angle, all these guys asking for their releases, so people get their hopes up to see them in All Elite Wrestling, only to disappoint All Elite Wrestling fans, to be honest with you, because they're going to think all these guys are going there, and then they're not. So I don't know what that's going to do to All Elite Wrestling. I don't know if all these rumors are true with WWE, all these guys asking for their releases, but it's going to be an interesting few months, especially leading into the All Elite first event, Double or Nothing in Las Vegas in May. It's a long way to get to May, though. It's only January 30th right now, guys. So there's a lot going to come up and down between now and then on the WWE side as well. The WWE is trying to up their game. Not sure they're succeeding at this point, but at least they're trying different things, listening to their fans a little more, especially with their Rumble winners, Becky and Seth. I think those were fan-pleasing victories. I think if Charlotte ended up winning the Women's Rumble and Braun ended up winning the Men's, there would have been an eruption of boos, just like when Daniel Bryan lost the Rumble before WrestleMania 30. So it's going to be an interesting couple months how they keep things fresh and build up to WrestleMania. And this is going to be a big year in wrestling, guys. I think a lot of changes are coming, like I said before. So WrestleMania this year, it's coming up. It's only a few months away. They're going to start building it right now. My couple of matches I would like to see on the card as well.